Hello, and welcome to another episode of Healing Art After Hours, where I upload real-time videos of live Zoom creative workshops from my Healing Art Happy Hour meetups. I'm Shauna Robeson with Creating Space Coastal, and in today's video, I will share several ideas for creating a vision board, and will be demonstrating the process on my mixed media Canvas vision board. Handouts for the introduction to this topic are available for download at my shop at creatingspacecoastal.com. Links are available in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you find this content helpful. Happy creating! Okay, so let's get started. So tonight's topic is vision board workshop. Last week we talked about why vision boards can be helpful in moving us forward from creative visualization to actually doing a physical manifestation of whatever our vision is, that whatever we want to manifest or desire to attract to our lives. So there are several, you could do this really any way. You can draw, you can collage, you can do Post-it notes on a wall, you can dry erase marker on your mirror. I've done that before, like little love notes there. So really, the main thing is to take what it is that you want to invite into your life and create some kind of physical manifestation of it in a way that you can regularly see it, so that you're reminded, you have a constant reminder of what it is that you're trying to invite. It keeps that on your radar and into your awareness, so that you can not only believe in the possibility of achieving that, but also so you can perceive those things around you that come into your lives that will support or move you closer to your desired goals or what you're trying to attract. Okay, so that's the little summary of why. And now let's talk about the how and some ideas for that. Now, this is a basic vision board, typical what you might see. I did this all of the collage materials I found in a Costco flyer magazine. And I actually kind of flipped through it and got ideas from looking through it. It's like, oh yeah, I really want to be healthy. I want my immune system to be strong, So a lot of the ideas actually came, from looking through that. So that's one way to do it. If you're not sure what themes you want for the year, you can actually start with, the blank mind, and then start looking through your materials and maybe get some ideas or prompts that start making you think about what you want as part of your vision board. So in this case, I did it, kind of a mix of that. I had some ideas of themes that I wanted, and this was a transition year. This was really a year of flex, more than I wanted. I don't even know that was really what I asked for. I asked for, I was focused on, being myself, being the true me, and, good vibrations. But growth always takes transition, and vice versa. So I did have a ton of transition last year. Like I said, more than I even ever would have wanted. But I also had a ton of growth in that process. And because, we always learn through transition. We learn through challenges. That's how we grow. That's how we build our muscles. When we approach one hurdle, we climb over that and we build muscles that will help us at the next hurdle. And eventually, when we get the mountain in front of us, we have lots of muscles to climb the mountain. So any kind of challenges that we have, can help us build our resilience. Okay, so here's some other ideas for how to go about that. This is just more of a simple, okay, I don't have any collage materials. I don't have glue. I don't have anything but a pencil and paper, or, in this case, I used my black, and I used my black paper, and I used a white gel pen. And I just drew out a kind of a schematic of the things that I was wanting to attract. At the time I started, now this particular one I did based on a specific topic. This was specifically where I was going to move, what I was going to do in my transition. And the other one was more the whole year. So sometimes I'll do a mix of them. I'll do one that's sort of a general theme for the year, and then I'll do specific themes for specific topics. So this particular one was that. And for those of you who've been following me through my classes, know about neurographic art, and that's the theme I used, or that's I would say the technique that I used in approaching this. I did these neurographic lines. So, and I'll be covering that in the coming months. So if you're curious about that, we'll talk about that then. But anyway, that was the technique I used actually to create a vision board for that process. I also had us do an exercise, and this might be something you want to do instead of following along, or in lieu of that. Or we could do this next week, but I had everybody last year just create a page. And again, it could be stick figures. It could be, you could do it however you want. If you want it just impressionistic, if you want it just colors, if you want it stick figures, or you want to really sketch it out, but just to create something that depicts like your best day, like what would be your happy place day. And mine is very busy. I have lots going on. I have oceans and sun and ice cream because it's warm, and I'm reading books and hammocks. So maybe go for a bike ride. So I have a very busy, happy day, but I love lots of things. It's got to have, I want all of these things. So my happy day is a full day of lots of things. So maybe yours is just you in a hammock, and that's your happy place, happy day, and that's all there is to it in the end. But so you can try something like that, and you can again do that for each area of your life that you're thinking of, that you want to tune up. Some other projects that we did with the neurographic theme was creating these trees, and that's actually turns out to be my theme, is a tree. We'll get to that in a little bit for this year, but this was again a neurographic inspired tree, and I just included words. I didn't have pictures of any of that stuff. I just had the words there to remind me of what I want. So you could do something like that where you only use words. You could do something as simple as just a brainstorm even. And in fact, I did. We'll be doing some of these things when we do neurographica inspired art, but this is one I did about just connection with Earth. And I did one. Oh, that's about my dog. So I do a lot of these. This is my journal that I do these in. I basically, if I have something I want to process, I do it in this journal. And I created one. Hold on, where did it go? Oh, I skipped a page. Okay. So I wanted to brainstorm. This was my process for what I'm going to do this year. But I brainstormed basically what themes I want to have be primary for 2022. And so I just did just a basic brainstorm where I did the year, and then a few key words popped out. And then from there, I went and did smaller bubbles off of that. Very, very simple. And you could do something as simple as that, and you can leave it at that. But I like to I like to have pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, because I have to stop and read the word. I can't just glance at this and see all of those things. So what I want to do is create a piece of art, because I want to have it on my wall, visible. And some things will be sort of hidden messages in the layers of it, and some things will be very on the nose and visible to all. But this was a way that I could kind of wrap my head around some of the themes that emerged for me. And as I was looking through some of my materials, I also got other ideas as well. But these are some key themes. So grounding is a key theme, because I finally settled into my my new home, my new location, and it's time to sort of build, plant my roots because I've been in flux for the past 6 years. So it's time to relax into this new life here. So grounding was a big theme. So I have lots around that. And that has a lot to do grounding. The term grounding actually means, like, if you think of electrical systems, they have the ground wire that goes to the earth, and that connects to that which grounds you, which balances you. So I think of it in many ways, being centered and balanced, which is an important theme for my life. Every year, I think every year balance has to be part of it. But so landed, I'm nesting, settling into my new space, being relaxed, feeling content. So I just added a bunch of words that was related to grounding, what that meant to me. And then, of course, create is always going to be a theme every year as well. And recently, of course, love has entered my life. So this year, really nurturing that relationship is a big thing for this year that's different than previous years. Although that was in my wish list for my 2021, and so there we go. It happened. But and then, of course, I have Mexico, just assimilating, getting settled here, really learning the language. That's one of my priorities for the year is building fluency in Spanish, because I feel like that hinders my ability to be social, and it makes me a little bit more nervous about going out and about. My boyfriend is Mexican and helps, and so when we go out, he does all the talking, but which then I use him as a crutch, and I don't talk as much because of that. So I have to really push myself to build that. So that's one of the things that I really want, that might be the biggest challenge of the year. So we'll see how that works. So that's what I did to start with, just to get an idea of where I'm heading, give me a direction. And I decided to do it on a canvas. This is an 18 by 18 canvas. And like I said, I'm just trying to use up materials I've collected over the years. I've been collecting art materials for decades. So it's time I used the things that I had. Now, last week on the chat, I saw a lot of people talk about minimalism. And I've been, over the past 6 years, I've been shedding things, because I want to simplify my life and I want to be lighter. And the more things that we have, the more to-dos we have, and the more stress that can bring for me. And I had the majority of what I had is art and craft supplies, which I love. And for me, it's really hard to let go of those things, because in the creative process, you never know what you might need. So I had to really work hard to let go of some things. And at the end of the month, when I do my tour of my supplies, I'll talk a little bit about my process there. I'll talk more about my process there. But and I do find sometimes that I go, oh, you know what? I used to have that. Did I still have it or no? So there are times, but I make do, and I'm making it a goal for this year to really force myself to use the things that I haven't been using. So that's why I want to do mixed media this year, because I want to use everything. And I think it's fun, and it's a way that I can tie in all the things that we learn throughout the year. So back to my process. So I'm going to do it on a canvas. One of the challenges with mixed media on the canvas is it's a flexible surface, so it can be a little bit challenging in that. So I might tuck a book under there to help stiffen it. So we'll see how that works. But so the first thing I do is think about a color scheme if I'm doing an art piece. So I wanted something that was related to my theme for my year, but also, think about what I want for the color scheme. And this worked for both things. And this was actually a book jacket for this book I got at a thrift store, really cheap. And I like it because I might use it as a journal, or I might just use pictures from it. But it had some beautiful pictures. And water is a big theme in my life too. So, and water is very grounding as well. And this is very earthy, and water, I think of a fountain as kind of a replenishing, like it's always bringing new water. And so it's a new year. So I thought that added to the theme. Now, not everything that I picked to potentially put on this, I will put on this. And also not everything that I put on this, you'll be able to see in the end. But knowing it's there is comforting to me. Like even if this got covered with all the layers, I still know it's there. And so it still feeds me to know that this is there. But I really liked the color pattern. So I pulled out some of my acrylics to the color schemes. And I have these fluid acrylics that I'm going to be using. And then I have a couple craft acrylics as well, or other kind of middle of the road acrylics too. So a variety, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I went through all of my various ephemera and magazines and thought about things that I wanted to add to this. So I'm just going to go over what I found. I also went to, one of the first things I did actually was I went through this old dictionary that I have, and some of the words that I had decided were part of my theme, I went through and found the page that has that. So for example, this has ground. So I'm going to use this, and I want to maybe highlight that section. I might just use the other side of it for just collage, but I want those particular words to rise up. So I have an idea of where I'm gonna go with this. But rhythm, like get into my rhythm. This one is artistry. So anything related to art and being an artist. And then this one was, what was this one? Oh, teacher. So anyway, I found words that were part of what I want to highlight in the dictionary. And that came from doing my little collage. Sorry, I'm working on adjusting my workspace too. Things are kind of in transition here, but I have a really long workbench. I don't have like a square, like a L shape. So I'm trying to use these little rolling carts to bring my stuff closer so I can have more things to show you easier, especially with this is a bigger project. I found this little cloth tag in my embellishments that's dream, and I liked that. And I had this little quote books, and this is Every Artist Was First an Amateur by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So I thought that was appropriate. I found dream, create, and believe. So that's kind of like conceive, believe, and create. So I think those are appropriate with the themes that I've been talking about too. And then this one says, determine that the thing can and shall be done, and then find the way. Abraham Lincoln. And like I said, I may not use any or all of these, but I just want to have them available if they work. If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears the sound of a different drummer. Let his step to the music he hears, however measured or far away. Let his step. I don't know if it's supposed to be let him step to the music he hears, however measured or far away. I think it should be him. let his step. Anyway, Henry David Thoreau. So there's that one. I may just write it in instead of using this vellum, because I would change that to him, because I don't think that's right. This first step is the dream. Oh, the first step is the dream. So that really fits with what we were talking about. And then I found this one that says dreams. I don't know that I'll use. I don't know. Oh, it says be kind to your dreams. So I like that idea. And again, I may just, maybe I'll just use the words, I'll write them in, or maybe I'll use the piece, I'm not sure. And then this one says the greatest achievements were at first and for some time dreams, James Allen. So obviously dreams came up as a theme. I have these little butterfly. They're like kind of like a mother of pearl butterflies. So maybe those will show up. But I think butterflies, while they're all about transition, they're about, growth, metamorphosis, and we're always in growth. So even though I want to be grounded, I'm always going to be growing and metamorphizing, I guess, too. So I think butterflies always fit. This one says the Wheel of Fortune, it's a little fortune, finally turning in your direction. So that might just be there somewhere and maybe you won't see it, or maybe you will. This is some catalog. I think I have enough stuff. I don't need to look through there, but I would just go through, I would look for color themes that I like. I would look for ideas like, for example, this, if you're trying to take flight or trying to be in transition, you might think of her as being something that would support that idea. Maybe you want to take a snowy vacation. So think outside the box a little. Maybe you want to travel and go somewhere. Maybe you want to take up kayaking. So think about if these pictures tell you something about a story in your life of what you might want to do. Think outside the box a little bit. This might be travel, or I want to learn sailing, or I love, I want to really appreciate sunsets this year. So every picture has multiple stories it can be telling depending on your perception of it. So even the simplest AAA magazine can have some good nuggets. I did pull out some pages from some magazines too. I don't know, I just loved these ferns, and it's real earthy, and like, they have roots, and there's growth, but also they have roots. So those ones spoke to me. I love water, so water always speaks to me. Again, I may or may not use any of these things, but I just pulled them all together so they can be near me as I decide. I made a copy of this book that I got that's beginner Spanish that I'm reading. So maybe I'll have that in there too. And then I have this little, it's a 12 by 12 sleeve where I can hold my big papers, and I just put projects. I use them. I have a few of them that are for projects. So I just gathered pieces and put it all in there. Some things I started cutting out, or I cut out for a previous project, and then nurture you. I like that message. This looks really earthy to me. And of course, I want to get back into my yoga routine. I've been a little bit busy with other things and not doing as much as I want to. So that's my birthday. So I just thought I'd throw it in there. Simply healthy living, inspiration. Again, these words might not show up at the top. They might just be underneath different layers. But, oh, this one's nice. Stop searching forever. Happiness is just next to you. Isn't it, sweetie? Okay, this one's for me. That's a reminder of you do you and take care of you first. That's self-care. Some peas, I thought I liked the color. You will get an offer that will be hard to turn down. So that's kind of a fun little fortune. I Music is always something that's important to me too. I love to sing. I love to play the piano. I need to get my piano fixed. I like digital piano. And so anything related to music, I thought was fun. I don't know that these blingy things will really work with what I have in mind, but they might be covered and just the shape is there. Some more yoga stuff. Let the sun into your heart. I liked that idea. Growing my brain. So this is a brain scan. I don't know if it's a good brain scan or not, but it's cool. And the idea of, growing my mind, keeping an open mind, and then an avocado. I'm eating a lot of those lately. They're a good replacement for butter. Like they make it, they're kind of creamy and they go on lots of different things. And they kind of work like butter. I don't know how to explain that, but there's little pictures of my home. Bike rides on the beach. This is a little, instead of French fries, it's veggies because I want to, eat more healthy, which is a theme from last time too, which is why I think I cut all these things out last year actually, but I might use them this year. Here's just some more vegetables. This one, because I landed, I consider myself landed. So this is two hands holding the plane and then it has like a little town. So I thought that was a cool image. Sunnier mood, less, and a trim body. And I don't know what was next to less, but I was thinking about that as letting go of things. So I liked that idea. Another little yoga. I really have a lot of yoga here. Oh, there's another walk on the beach. This is accepting my cougarness. That's my boyfriend's younger. I just am trying to, that'll be an inside joke. That won't be out on the top, but experience life and then organic. These are all vegetables marked organic. Staying alive, that's important. So like I said, no matter what ends up as part of the top layer of this, I love all these messages. And so I just decided to get them all over here. And as I start to work, it's an organic process and I will find things as I go that make sense, but I want to have them ready so I don't have to go searching for things when I'm in the process. This I liked because it had this roots going on. And I imagined this woman cut out kind of sitting in the patch of this. So, and I liked that image. So I might do that. I don't know. If I was just going to do collage, I totally would start there with that. This says Home Sweet Home, which I liked. And this is Mexico. So, and this was just something that had lots of colors that I liked. I don't know if I think it was just colors. I don't really think I'm going to use that one. This one says doubt kills more dreams than failure. So I liked the message there. This is cool paper, but I'm thinking I'm not going to be going too much into black, so probably it won't work here, but it says lots of things. I don't know where to start. Let's see. And future generations, I don't know where it starts. Good times, enduring. Let's see. Hard times worth enduring and the good times so very endearing. So many are previous memories are worth pursuing so that they can be enjoyed in the present and future generations may reflect on. So it just has like all this positive, yummy stuff. So I probably will use it for something, but I'm going to be like my color scheme, it doesn't really work with. So I'm going to put that aside. This looks like wood. And I thought about maybe cutting it out as a tree. I also thought about using it as I'm considering doing some homemade journals. So I thought about it would be a really cool journal cover. So I haven't decided if I want to just destroy this or not. Because it's really cool. It has a couple tears. be determined. I don't know that that's going to be part of my color scheme either. So, but I'm going to have it nearby just in case. It is really cool paper. And then this again is the dark. I don't think it's going to, oh, this could work for my color scheme though. I like that. It says, just be you, just be yourself. Just be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, just be you. So I love that. So I might just have to put it in there, even if it's on a lower level. I like this side too, so I might just put some of that in there because I really like that message. So those are the some collage elements that I found and pulled together. And then move these aside. And then I went through and looked at my stencils. And I don't want to overwhelm you for doing mixed media because it doesn't have to be this complicated. I like to have a lot of options. And like I said, I may use some or none, but I like to have the options handy. If I wasn't teaching, if I wasn't doing it on the camera, I would just kind of go gather things as I was going along. But I would probably do some of this, but maybe not as much. But I want to have it really handy so I don't have to go rummage around my house while I'm trying to put together something. Okay, so then I also pulled together some stencils that worked. Of course, the butterfly stencil, because butterflies work with everything. This reminded me of, I don't know if you can see that texture. It reminds me of bark of a tree. So I thought that was really cool. It also looks like cracked earth, like, when the dry baked clay. So I thought that was really a really good one. Language was one of my themes. Even though these aren't Spanish letters, I thought, the letters might be fun for some texture in the background. And then because I'm going to do a tree theme, I saw these leaf stencils. Those might work in something, I'm not sure. And I was also thinking about the beach because, I live near the beach. So I have these, some beach theme items, these little footprints in the sand and a palm tree. And this one also had some footprints, starfish, some beach stuff, sailboats, whatnot. So the sun, dolphins. So I grabbed those. I'm starting to think that those aren't going to be where this is going, but who knows? And then this is a tree stencil that I have. I don't know if you can see that real good. Probably not behind the white, but it has really cool branches. So I think this is going to be my main attraction. One of the challenges with this stencil is it's not a very thick stencil and it has a lot of open space. So sometimes that can be challenging. I don't know if I'm going to get the thickness that I want because I want to really make that texture, but we'll see. Only find out by doing it. Here's some tissue that was some of the color schemes that I liked, so I can use that as well. And then I went through and looked at, now, if you don't have stencils and you want some texture or whatever in your collages, I will be going on deep dive on all of these different subjects throughout the year, but you can make your own stencils. And the simplest way is by using this was actually a cereal box that I painted just to basically seal it so that I could use it over and over again. But I just used a knife, a little utility knife, and cut out some shapes in a cereal box. That's that one. And then this one, I used some hot glue gun, and you just do it on a nonstick, heat resistant surface like a silicone. And then you can peel it up and then you lay it down so you can use it as a stencil to stencil over. So, just some quick ideas. If you have acetate or the packaging you get with things that's made from this plastic, you can use that as well. The thicker, of course, the material, the thicker the texture you're going to get. If you're going to be using it with texture paste. If you're just using it to do stencil paint through, then thin is a little bit easier to work with for that. But again, I will cover stencils at a later time. But so that's like a 2-second stencil. Tips. And you may not know what I'm talking about if you've never used stencils. So don't worry about it if you don't, because I'll show you as I go along. Okay. Then I went through my stamps. Now, for me, this has been something that's been with me since my early 20s. There was a newsletter at a place I worked that had this quote or poem. I don't really know what you would call it. I think a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it says, to laugh, this is the title is Success. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, a garden patch or redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I love this. And I actually used it for my college entrance exam and got in. But this has just been something that I've always loved. So when I saw it as a stamp, I said I had to have it. So I feel like that would be nice to have somewhere in there. I can't put everything though. So I have to pace myself. Now, this is just some random script that is more of it just looks nice. So this might be a nice accent. I use this a lot for journaling or mixed media. And then also have music notes, which is, I think, better than probably the blingy notes for me, for what I need. And then I just went through and looked at, do I have some other stamps that might have something? This says Love Life, which I liked. And I don't know about the other stuff, and that's kind of a cool texture. The circles, I always like circles, but some butterflies. I like the swirlies and then some leaves. So I was thinking the tree. And then I liked these paint brushes. I thought that was cool for the art. And then this says enjoy yourself. And I think I liked the clock too, but I don't really want to say I'm old, so I'm not sure what the vintage thing. And then I had this little tree, but I don't know that I would add another tree. I think that's probably not going to be used, and then I liked this shape here as a tree. So I just pulled some stamps that I liked. A couple other stamps that I came across as I was organizing some of my stuff was this one is happiness is when you think what you say and what you do are in harmony. Is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Gandhi, I love that. This one is hope this day puts a song in your heart. That was cool. And then dreams come a size too big so we can grow into them. So that's my process of gathering things for doing a collage around a theme. And I usually like to have a theme. Okay. Are there any questions before I move on? If you want me to pause the recording, I can. I see some things in chat, but just be aware that I don't always follow. I don't follow the chat while we're in the process, but okay. Just want to make sure I wasn't seeing anything. So I can demonstrate something in one of the journal, like doing the best day or something like that, if you prefer. But if you'd like to see my process of putting this together, I'm happy to share that with you. I actually, oh, the other last thing I got is I actually went down to the beach and got some sand because I'm going to put sand in it. I know. We'll see how that goes. So do you guys want to see me build this mixed media piece, or would you rather, I see someone with a thumbs up, I think, but you can, if you want to write it in the chat, or if you'd like me to demonstrate a shorter process. And like next week, I was going to walk through creating a treasure map, which I can show you an example of that. But if you guys want me to work on this and then work on this also next week, if you want to keep seeing it being built, because I know this month isn't mixed media, but all this year I'm going to be kind of mixing it up a little bit. So just heads up there. Let me show you because if you want me to keep going with this, I'll just explain the treasure map idea. So if you wanted to do it on your own, and then I'll keep going with this. So, and if you have an opinion, put it in the chat if you're shy, or yeah. Actually, let me just pause. I'm afraid to pause the recording because, hold on, that stops it. I don't want to stop it. Well, I'm going to just share this first, and then I'll pause. If you guys want to come in, we can discuss it. And then, so I'll just kind of give you an intro to this map, and then you guys can decide if you want me to show you the full process of creating mine, or if you want to let me do it on my own, and then I can show it to you. So this is a treasure map, and I did one on my own, and on one of them, I actually did the whole staining the paper, which I'm not going to go through at this time. I wouldn't go through it this time, but you can create the same effect just by kind of crinkling up some paper. So I would show you basically how to get this old paper look, and then talk about some ideas for creating a treasure map. And basically that's looking at your goal is X marks the spot. And then what I did is last year I was wanting to purchase this condo here in Mexico. I don't know if I even had it figured out where, I don't even think I'd found it yet, but so I wrote all of these different things that I might encounter as I was approaching my goal. And so I had COVID canal, savings straight, passport, because mine was expired. I have my values on the compass, and that's one thing I talked about. So I wrote my values around the compass, so you keep an eye on those. Condo Canyon, I think I was, researching a research rapids here. Monster move, because moving across the border is quite an ordeal, and making it to my destination. So it was a way to process, what is it going to take? What are some of the things that I might encounter, and see myself actually doing it. So creating the reality of, okay, look, I'm making a path to get there, so I know exactly where I need to go, and a way to process that in an artistic way. Now I did a second one. This one was, let's see, what was this was to love, actually. Interesting. I didn't even remember. And then that might have been right after my boyfriend dumped me, like the first of the year last year, which was a good thing. Turned out to be, we only dated a few months, so it's no big deal. But anyway, so this was my starting point, and there's my end point. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and try to get this. It's like, how do let me take this out of plastic? That might help because the glare is glaring. Okay, So this is to love. And I think so love, and then here's my starting point. And I have, and this one I just, was this the one I made before? I can't remember now. They both kind of look the same, so I don't remember which one I actually, which paper I made and which one, I think, I'm not sure, but anyway. So self-love peak, and then marry myself mountains. So you should always marry yourself first, commit to yourself first, and write yourself some marriage vows. I recommend that as a journal exercise. And then romance ridge. And then hobby hills. So I think I was thinking, oh, I want somebody who shares some common interests. Lovers lane, independence currents, because we both, I think, need to be independent before we can be interdependent, not codependent. So, and then dating rapids, because, well, that is like riding the rapids, right? So, and also I thought of speed dating, but so dating rapids and then to love. So there we go. And I've made it to both of my destinations over this past year. So pretty cool. So that's one way you can make a visual representation. You can do pictures. You don't have to do words. I did words. But I like words too, because I'm a writer, but I added some visuals in those as well. So you can do just pictures or pictures with a label. I did a little bit of a combo, and that's a fun way to, to see yourself making the progress to whatever goal it is. Okay, so now the question on the table, I see a lot of things in the chat. So the question on the table is, do you want me, I have about, I don't know if people are going to share tonight, but I usually stop about 8:30 to give people time to share. So about 30 more minutes, I can start this guy, or I can show you the progress that I make. And next week I can work on showing you how to do that. So let's see what you guys want. If you want to do, which one you want to do? I see. Okay, looks like, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so I have both. Some of you want to do the vision board, and some of you guys want to do the treasure map. So now I've got to see, like, okay, you guys keep your votes coming, because I'm gonna have to count and see how many want to do what now. Now I feel bad because now I want to do both, but I don't know how I can fit it both in. Let me see, because at the last of the month, let me see how many weeks we have. Yeah, we just have the 2 weeks left. Okay, here's what I'll do. I will start, I'm going to try to do both. So here's how I'm going to go about it. I will start the process of my collage, of my mixed media, of my vision board. And then next week, I think I can quickly go through the map first. And then with the time that I have left after showing that, I can keep working on my vision board. How does that sound? I think that will, cover all the bases. Okay, so that's what I'm going to try to do. And so I can get a little bit of both. Maybe I won't finish my vision board, but I'll be able to show you the process. And I think, once you learn some of the basic layers, then you'll get it. So you won't have to necessarily see every single thing, but because it can be a little bit of it can be tedious. I mean, it can be a long, tedious process unless you really know exactly what you're going to do. And I have ideas of what I'm going to do, but I never know exactly what I'm going to do. So you guys get to see it real time as I build. You'll get to see it. Okay, let me get my camera back in order here. Okay, So, and I do want to give some basics because I'm going to be doing some mixed media. I do want to give some basic information about that. Just because in case you guys are interested in doing mixed media, there are a few, I've been really, trying to do research some things. So many of you have heard of Mod Podge, and that's great for decoupage. That's layering papers. So if I'm going to be adding a layer of papers, I could use Mod Podge. The thing about Mod Podge compared to what would be a better thing to use, and I don't have the ideal medium. You'll see if you've ever gone to art supply stores, you're going to see these mediums that are they say different things about them. They might say gel medium, it might say blending medium, it might say pouring medium. Anytime it says medium and it's related to acrylics, it's basically the emulsion that acrylics go into, the pigment goes into to make an acrylic paint is basically the medium that holds the pigment, okay? So anything that's a medium is basically something that you can use with acrylics, and you can mix it with the paint, you can use it below the paint. Sometimes they're designed to be to change the characteristics of the paint. Well, most of them are to change the characteristics of the paint. But they're basically a glue. They're an adhesive. They're stronger and more durable and more archival than, say, this kind of glue. Now, Mod Podge is, from what I could tell, and I actually looked up the MRS, whatever the materials list. From what I can tell, it's basically like a white craft glue combined with probably, and that's a vinyl product, and that's combined with, I believe, an acrylic varnish product or something that's more of a sealant. So this is designed to be a finish, a sealer, and it tends to have a smoother finish. Now there's different sheens. You can get matte, which is going to be less shiny than the gloss, but it's still going to be a smoother surface than if you used a gesso, and it's not going to adhere as good. It's not going to bond chemically as good to the acrylics as an acrylic medium, because chemically this is going to be the same chemical base as an acrylic. This is not. This is going to be a little bit different. It's going to share some of the same properties. They can work together, but it's not going to stick as well. So if you want to use this as the glue to lay the papers down, the way that you can add the acrylics on top and make sure you get a good adhesion of the next layer is to add gesso, which is essentially the same thing. It's a medium that's had like chalk added to it to give it tooth, to give it texture, to make things stick to it. And everything, the canvases that you buy that are white like this are typically painted with a gesso. That's a primer for acrylics. This is acrylic gesso. So it's basically the medium that acrylics are made from, and that's basically the liquid part of the paint. And then added to that is some chalk to make it so it has more tooth or more texture so that it bonds better. So this sticks better to more surfaces, and an acrylic sticks to most surfaces, but this might have maybe a little bit stronger bonding properties. And some of these mediums are designed specifically for that. Maybe they're to make it stronger. It just makes the acrylic paint act differently, thinner, thicker, more textured, drying time slower, whatever it is. Okay. So gesso is the primer. And like I said, this is the same thing as a medium, but then it also has this texture to give it tooth, so it sticks better to the next layer that you put on top of it. So if you're going to use Mod Podge, you can do that. But just be aware, and I would recommend using matte, because even the matte Mod Podge, and this is important if you're going to use it inside of a journal, even the matte Mod Podge tends to dry tacky, which means it sticks to itself very well. So when you close your pages, what you're going to find is they stick together, and sometimes they pull off some of the pigment, or they damage because they stick together. So it's always recommended, and it even says right on here, to finish it off with a clear coat of an acrylic varnish. And I would say a matte, just to make it not sticky, because gloss is going to be stickier than matte. So use an acrylic varnish over the top to do a final finish. Now this says finish and sealer, and it has some of that, but it still is a lot of glue, and glue is sticky, and glue stays kind of sticky. So, so if you do use Mod Podge to do your base layer of collage, that is fine, but just make sure to put a layer of gesso over the top of that. Now you're saying, well, how can I do that because gesso's white? Well, gesso comes in white, clear, or black. And I think it comes in other colors too, but those are the main ones that you'll be able to find. And I recommend getting all three of those, because sometimes you want a dark base layer, and sometimes you want a light base layer, and sometimes you don't want any color at all. So I use all three. So if you are going to get into mixed media collage kind of stuff, and you want to do more, you know, more of that, I would recommend having those three. So that's just a little bit of a kind of aside. Now the gesso comes in different thicknesses too. And in fact, the mediums come in a really thick medium that is like a paste, like a modeling paste. So the thicker it is, the more texture it can make. So, oops, I lost my focus. I don't know how I did that. I don't know what happened. Why is it? There we go. There we go. I don't know what happened, but so like this is a super, I shouldn't set that on the canvas, super gloss, super heavy gel. And you can see it's very like almost like a hair pomade. So if I use that, it would basically allow me to create some texture with the paint. And so if I added this to a paint, to an acrylic paint, it would give that same body to it. So gesso comes in different thicknesses too. And you can even use a super heavy gesso, for example. Super heavy just means like thicker, pastier. You can use that as like a texture paste or a molding paste as well, if you don't want to buy two different products. So I'll go more into those things, but I just want to give you some of those basics so you know. I think what I'm going to try to do, because I don't know if this is going to work. And another challenge I have is I have all these gloss, and I don't know why I have so much gloss, but I want to use what I have. So I'm just trying to decide if I want to use the Mod Podge matte or this. I should use this because it's matte, and I don't want to, there might be another project I might want the gloss for. So I'm going to just use the Mod Podge for my collage layer. Okay, so now I got to decide what of these things I actually want to put on my project. Now, I'm going to talk more about the layers of mixed media at another time too, and I'm going to give you guys some ground rules about that. But I don't want to spend too much time on that today. I want to get going. Okay, but what I'm going to start with for now is I'm actually going to start with some texture with a collage layer. So I'm just going to decide what I want, where I want it, and then start gluing it down. I want this, but I don't want it to show. So I'm just going to stick it because I think it's funny. Because my boyfriend's a lot younger than me, and I had just decided that I was gonna not date younger men, and then all of a sudden I met like an amazing person who's more mature than most of the older men I've met. So, so I kind of think that's sort of like I'm just embracing it. Okay. I'm just sort of putting them kind of where I want so that when I start gluing down, I know where I want them to be. Let's see, I want this paper. Guys can be I really love those. That one. So like this to be somewhere, maybe there. And maybe that can be there. I want this kind of off to the side a little bit. Now, all of the words, anything that I want to actually be seen, is going to be more towards the top layer. Just think of it like a sandwich. Right now, we've got the bread. The bread is the canvas. And now I'm going to be putting the mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is the glue. If you like mayonnaise, I love mayonnaise. So. Let the sun shine into your heart like that. And that's yoga too. So I don't know if I need two. I for sure want these hands. I think maybe this little pea. I like this. I like this little pea pod. My Simply Healthy Living. That nurture you. Again, this doesn't have to show. You don't need another yoga. I think this is cute. Thinking about healthier snacks. And like I said, even if I can't see, even if I don't see these in the end, because I'm going to be doing several layers. So a lot of this stuff won't be, but I kind of know they're there. So that's fun to me. I'm not ready for an offer I can't turn down yet. Not ready for that. This is just a color I like. Now, if you have decorative pages, like if you have decorative scrapbooking paper, I actually got rid of most of mine because I can make my own paper. But instead of making the paper and putting it down, I can just sort of do my stamps on top of stuff, I think. So that's what I decided to do instead of that. Oh, I forgot to show you one other thing that I have. I also have these letters. This is part of my stamp collection. So I can do 2022, and then I also want maybe somewhere grounding. So I'm gonna have that somewhere. I've had this in my to use pile for a long time. So it's about time to put it in there. I kind of might want this to come up to the surface. So I'm thinking about like, what do I just want in there somewhere? And what do I really want to show up? Some things I just want sort of as a hidden messages, and sometimes I really want like this. I would like to maybe have come out somewhere. Now, music, sheet music is great. A book pages are great. There's so many great ways you can come up with collage material. And I will go more into those ideas at some point, but I like that one. Inspiration. That can go along there. Now this layer is creating some texture below. You're starting off with, you know, instead of a more, you know, two-dimensional, you're getting more three-dimensional. And it's more subtle than some of the other ways to put texture, which is nice because you just get hints of texture underneath color. And I like tearing as opposed to cutting, but you're welcome to do what your heart tells you to do. Water. I'm going to skip that. Skip that. I still want Mexico. This part is fun, tearing things. It's therapeutic in and of itself, so. Okay. I want that one to come up. Okay, and then if I don't sweet home. So many things. You don't have to put as much as I'm doing. Well, there's no you have to about this, but I think that goes without saying. So I should stop saying you don't have to do what I'm doing. I think you know you don't have to do anything. But okay, once we go like that. And then this guy, I feel like, you know, I feel like I want to actually make her for a journal page. So I think I'm going to actually save these two and do just a collage because I really want both of them to show. And I feel like I'm going to lose a lot of this stuff in here that all right, now I'm going to These ones, some of these I want to come to the surface, and then some stuff I'm not going to. Okay, so I want to pick the words that I'm looking for. So I have these vintage dictionary. Let's see, teacher. Can I spell? Oh, it's right at the top. Teach bottom and then teacher at the top. So maybe I will just stick this whole page in because I don't want to break those two up. So I like to at least have the border. I try to cover the border. If I'm going to do add collage, I try to at least have something on the ground at the along the borders. Inside, if there's some white space, that's fine. But I like to fill in. I like to fill in the borders. Well, I'm going to let that stay straight edge. That's okay. I don't want that there. I think. Okay, this one is art artistry. Okay, so I'm going to keep this section. This is really delicate paper. I'm going to keep that out because that's going to go in a top, more of a top layer, but I'm going to use these things for underneath. And then I have rhythm. Let me just put this. Rhythm and rhyme. I almost thought it's really delicate. So I have to be. So I'm going to put those out. So I don't. And mariposa, I found, which is actually the Spanish word for butterfly. And it's not in here as a Spanish word for butterfly because this is an American, English dictionary. And it's a very colored spotted round fish of the Atlantic also. So that's why it's here, but I just wanted to have it because it's butterfly. All right, I don't really want, I think I'll put this up here. I try to balance out, so if I put the page on the corner, like this and this, I try to balance my color, not exactly, like not always exactly opposite, but somewhat, just to create some balance in the collage. And then, and then of course I want my ground, which I have up here. Let's see if there's any place I need to put something. Like I need a piece inside in the middle. All right, so I've pretty much got at least, somewhat of a layer of my, and I can always add more. Oh, I want this too. I almost forgot my beginner Spanish. Want that somewhere. Now, keep in mind, if you do print off from your computer, that most inkjet printers the ink is water soluble, meaning that when you start adding a wet medium, it can smear. I'm using a laser printer, which doesn't smear. But if you're careful and you don't rub too hard, sometimes you can get away without it smudging or smearing too much. So, not all is not lost. Okay, my fern there. Okay. And where things end up may shift around, but we'll see. Like this guy, kind of like that. I don't want my Cougar to show. I don't care about these guys showing. I kind of want that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically, now that I sort of have it spread out, I could take a picture of this right now, and that way I'd have an idea of where I have things. Normally I would try to move it off to the side in somewhat of a close, like how I have it. But that's going to be hard because I just don't have the workspace to do that. So I think I'm just going to try to move stuff down and work from the top down. And then as I add, I'll make more space. So we'll see how that goes. Normally I would try to work on a little more space, but have what we have. So we have to adapt and adjust. And again, this is a little, I have put a book under there to try to keep it from pushing in, but that does add to a little bit of a challenge. So, all right, so let's get to doing it. I said I'm going to use the Mod Podge, and I'm going to use the Mod Podge. I think in the future, I'd like to invest. I'm trying to do a no buy year because I don't have a budget, but because out of necessity. But I think in the future, like I would definitely want to have, given what I've researched and what I know about it, especially now, I would like to have in my inventory, my stash, the acrylic medium, the matte, because like I said, I don't know why I have so much gloss, but I do. So now this is pretty delicate paper. What I do is I'm going to lay down, I'm just going to pour a little bit. It's going to be easier than trying to dip this big brush. And I'm going to put a nice layer going off the side. I want to make sure that I have a pretty good layer down, and then you put the paper down and then you do a layer on top of it. So that's how that works. So I'm just this is where it can get messy. That's the fun part. So sometimes you'll get bubbles underneath, and you can try to press those out with like a credit card or something. This one's trying to skate across the, I can't actually get it to move. Come on. Started sliding, and this paper is so delicate. I think I'm just going to leave it there because I feel like if I try to lift it up, it's just going to disintegrate. It's like literally, oh, I can just brush it the other way and it slides back. Okay, that works. Okay, slip sliding away. Slip sliding away. Okay. And then I want this guy underneath. So now layer down. This is just for my inside humor. But see, I'm kind of like a young soul. And he's kind of an old soul, so it works. All right, and then what do I have in this corner? I have this guy. Oh, I think this should, this whole forever happiness, stop searching, should go right there with that. Okay. And my plan is to have the tree, I'm going to do the textured tree, and the textured paste I'm going to have as a top layer. So in white. So that's why I want to get I'm so excited because of I'm going to give you guys a tour of all my stuff. Since I moved, I hadn't really completely settled into my space. And also just because since before I was doing everything sort of piecemeal. I was doing this medium, then this the medium, and I wasn't doing it really as mixed medium together. And that's a challenge because you want to have everything at your fingertips, you know, because at the same time, so there's new challenges. So I'm rethinking how I want my space to be based on that. And so I've been revamping, but I kind of went through and took inventory of everything and just started thinking about where I wanted things. And one of the things that I find, and I think that I'm not alone in this, is that once we build up our inventory or our stash, and I'm going to call it stash, I'm going to say I have Sable. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Sable is stash acquired beyond life expectancy, SABLE. And because, you know, creative people can think of so many things to do with everything, right? So we are like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. So everything is a potential energy. You know, you see it in the store and suddenly your mind starts going to town of what you can do with this thing, right? And that's like, you know, gets our happy place going, even if we are not doing it, if we were just imagining and creative visualization of creating, that still feeds our creative soul. And watching other people, it still does the same thing. It you know, helps our mood, and there's a lot of good, healthy, you know, healthy healing properties just watching others creating art. So, but it's easy to just, you know, keep acquiring and not, you know, not always getting to everything. Now, if you notice bubbles, which I'm noticing, you can try to use a spatula and try to work those out. There's texture you may not want in your finished product. This is just a credit card. So yeah, try to work those out before you get too far along. Start to notice that. Let's see. Now I can definitely see if I'm doing a lot of big projects of mixed media. I mean, you go through a lot of, you could end up going through a ton of Mod Podge or medium or whatever. So I'm going to be doing mostly journaling pages, so it's not going to be quite like this project. But I thought, you know, for the year, I want something that I hopefully will like having on my wall. We shall see. But my last one was behind my door in my bedroom, so it wasn't really somewhere where everybody saw it, because, you know, it can be a personal thing. Dropping things. Now I think this in this corner. I was working from the top down, but suddenly I ended up on the side. So we're just gonna go with that. Yes, I really have this side wet. Maybe I should get some things over here because this is still wet. Oh, you know what I want? I want to get down before I start dropping stuff into the glue. That's one downside of doing this. It's better to move your stuff off the table, but because I'm at my computer desk, I mean, I'm not going to have the space here to. Now you could do it where you put the glue on the back of the piece. So if you need to work on, you can do that in this case because start there, and then since I don't have a lot of room to work with to get this surface all wet, I'll do it that way. And then one way to downsize, use it. So my motto, one of the mottos, which I don't have on this, is use it or lose it. And I'm going to be talking about art journaling next month, and I'm creating a process for trying to use up those things that you just never think of, because when we have too much stuff, oh, this is where I was going and I lost the train of thought because I'm ADHD. There you go. Welcome to my brain. And I'm legitimately like ADHD. I'm not just saying that. I actually have the diagnosis, so don't be offended. I have it too, but it does make me very creative. It adds to my creative side. And I lost it again. So what I was trying to say is that when you have too much stuff, when you have so many choices, it can cause paralysis in deciding what to use. And we find ourselves using the same things over and over again because they come to mind. There's certain items that just pop into our head. Maybe they're our favorites, or they're visible, you know, out of sight, out of mind. So creating some kind of system, a cue system, to force yourself to go look through your stash and find something is one way to ensure that you start using more of your stash. And I think that, you know, I want to use up, there's certain things that I never use and I want to use them up. And if I'm forced to at least try to use them, I mean, maybe I'll try to use them and I'll be like, oh my gosh, there's just no way I can use this. I don't like this at all. Then I can get rid of it because I can say, you know what, that's not me. That's not my style, or whatever reason, I just can't seem to force myself to use it. So I will be talking about that next month, some ways to maybe get yourself to, this one's really not wanting to go down. The one thing I will say about the acrylic medium, it is a more powerful adhesive. So if you're working with more three-dimensional things other than paper, now this book cover has a plastic coat, and it's just not wanting to lay down for me. I don't know why. So I may have to, I can't get it to stay. Maybe once I put something else on it over the top. But if we force ourselves to just look and see what we have, it's fun to have that challenge. When we were at the beginning of our creating days, we only had few choices, and we had a lot of fun with those few things. And then it got to a point where it can get overwhelming. So if you feel like that, hopefully I'll have something that will help you to use your stash, or at least a way to, try to use it and then decide if it's something that you need to keep, because you don't want to let your stuff get to the point where it's taking over. It's hard to let go. My rules for letting go, and I used to be a professional organizer, my rules for letting go is if you don't use, need, or love it, it's probably not earning its keep in your home. You're paying rent to keep it there. So is it earning its rent? And that's my rule for everything. The challenge is that art supplies, I love. I love art supplies. So it's really hard for me, that fits into that category of love. But I found myself getting to the point where, I wanted to fit in a certain space and not have it feel cluttered, or not be able to find my stuff. Because what can happen is when we get to the level of stuff that, is too much for what we can handle, we can't access it. You can't find it when you need it. I can say, yeah, I have this thing, but who the heck knows where it is? So if you can't find it, you can't use it, it's sort of useless. It doesn't really, it's like not having it at all, really. So, oh, it's already 8:42. Oh my gosh. I haven't even got this layer down. Hi, babe. Are you gonna come say hi? The camera's here, so you can. You have to come in front of this. Say hi to Luis, everyone.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
They're all working on stuff and muted, so. Hi there. Here's my poor pobrecito. Who has to wear a mask in his own home. Yeah, I'm gonna try to stop but this, I can't, there's not really a stopping point, so I have to keep going, whether you guys have to go or not. I have to keep going because my stuff is sort of a critical. And the good news is once I get all this layer down, I have to let it dry anyways, so that'll be a good stopping point. So I apologize, I'm going over. I want to have time for sharing too, so I can stay a little later. But I did tell him we could go to the hot tub if nobody's down there, so I might have to. Okay, I'm going to move these over here because I'm running out of road. Got my pieces sticking to my pieces. So the this adhesive isn't as strong. So if you find that things aren't sticking, go to the acrylic medium. One thing I also learned in my research is that like the more craft grade acrylics, they use a lot of the polyvinyls, the vinyls in their ingredients to make it more cost effective. And so that's part of the quality level of it. But the acrylic mediums are just more durable. They're just stronger, adhesive. So there's lots of other parts of that, I'm sure, too, but that was one thing I found that was kind of interesting. And I also will be talking about homemade recipes for things too. I'm gathering a list of those. Just be aware of any time you use something that isn't an artist grade or isn't an art supply. If I'm gluing something to something that's just not an art supply, there's no guarantee for archival quality. And archival quality means that it's light fast, meaning it's not going to fade. It's not going to turn, it's less likely, or it'll take longer too, if it does, but it's not going to turn yellow. It's acid free. It's not going to deteriorate. The glue's not going to come unstuck after a period of time, short period of time. So they're just more durable. They're designed to last. So if you're doing more fine art where you're actually, selling a commission to someone, then of course you want to use good quality products, because you don't want to sell something to someone and then have it start falling apart a few weeks later. But if you're doing an art journal, and things come unglued or whatever in 5 years, well, so be it. Not as big of a deal. So it's okay to use, the craft quality, or the lower price points, or the make up your own recipes. Just be aware of that and understand what you're getting, what you're not getting. For an art journal, I absolutely am going to use whatever, I'm not going to worry about, because an art journal, for me, it depends on how you see your art journal. If you're making a junk journal that you plan to sell, well, even then, you doing a junk journal, you're going to have a lot of junk in there that's not going to be archival. So people don't care. They still buy them. So, but just depends on what your intention is. For me, the journal is about creating inspiration. So I like my pages to inspire me. So if I look back at it in the future, they inspire me. And they also are a way I can practice my techniques. I can learn something new, learn a new art technique, or practice, build my skills. They're really designed for me as the audience. Now, maybe, obviously with you guys, I'm going to be sharing some of my journals, but I'll have my own journals that I don't share, where I practice. I probably will share, because I think it's important for you guys to see that the process. So some things I will share, but yeah, art journals can help us process things in our lives. They can help us build our skill, and you can use them as art. You can scan pictures from an art journal and use it is digital art for sure. But I think it's important, whatever whatever your intention is, to be aware. I think it's nice to do it for your eyes only, because that allows you to be uninhibited. If you plan on sharing it, it's not to say you can't share it if you want to, but if you plan on sharing it and you're creating it from a place of, oh, I'm planning to share this, you might not be as brave in how you do things. You'll be more inhibited with your process. So I recommend, I really like, now let's see how I can do this. So I suggest doing it, well, like I said, set your own intention, but have a journal, an art journal, creative journal that's for you, for your eyes, that you can feel like you can just go wild and try anything you want, because you can say anything. You don't have to be PC, you could vent about your family, whatever you want to do, in whatever way you want to do it. It's nice to have a journal that that just allows you the freedom to be uninhibited and not censored in any way. And we censor ourselves if we think we're going to share. I mean, it's just our natural need to please. I mean, that's wired in us to make the tribe happy, part of a survival skill. So there's nothing wrong with that, except for that we let it go too far sometimes. And really, we just have to worry about pleasing and self-acceptance. That's what we want to get to. Yeah, almost done. I mean, there's a little white space there, which I might be okay with. I want this, I like this word. I don't necessarily have all the yoga, but let sunshine. I don't know if there's a place I can, I can put it there. Okay. I'm making a mess, loving it. Now, all of my papers are sort of wrinkling, but that's okay. It's just going to add more texture. I'm okay with that. And I've done mixed media, but I haven't done a ton of collage. So this is all, every time you do another piece, it's a learning experience. Unless you're mass producing one particular thing, which, I'm pretty sure you're not. I mean, maybe you are, but most people change it up at least somewhat, and they do, even if they repeat something, it's hard to really create it exactly the same. Okay, I think I have my first layer down. Some of the pieces are popping up, and what I might go back and do is let everything dry, and if there's some that are peeling, I might go in there with an acrylic medium that's a little bit stronger, like this one is popping up, and then get it glued down. I want it to at least lay flat. I don't want it popped up like that, but I'm happy with my first layer. I'm going to let that dry. It is important, especially when you get to the layers of adding any pigments, or I mean, really anything. Let the first layer dry before you move on with the next layer, because my next layer for this is going to be probably the gesso layer. And I want to make sure that I'm not mixing those together. I want to make sure that the top layer is the gesso. So I don't want to try to go on there with my gesso layer until that's done.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Healing Art After Hours. You can download materials related to this topic, including PDF notes of PowerPoint presentations, at creatingspacecoastal.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you found this content helpful, and join me for the next video here at my Creating Space Coastal channel, where I hope to inspire you to create space in your life for fun. Thank you.